Musk is not just a businessman, he's a geopolitical player, an intelligence asset, and a master manipulator. The government contracts are just a surface level issue. The real danger? One man controlling America's transportation, energy, defense, and data infrastructure. This isn't capitalism, friends. It's oligarchy. In today's episode, we're diving into Musk's government-funded monopoly. Because while Elon Musk is busy pointing the finger at the government waste and fraud, he's raking in billions from those very same government agencies. And the worst part is that this is happening across multiple agencies right under our noses. Stick around because by the end of this episode, you'll see just how deep the conflict of interest goes and why it's a national security crisis in the making. Hello, everyone. My name is Jannette, and welcome to my channel, When the Shift Hits. I'm a one-woman show here, so I do everything from research to writing, recording, editing, and everything in between. So if you enjoy this content, please do me a solid, subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. Elon Musk, the self-proclaimed free market capitalist, loves to criticize government inefficiency. But here's the kicker. His companies have all benefited from U.S. taxpayer dollars. And not just a little bit. We're talking about billions of dollars in government funding. Elon Musk's public image as a self-made entrepreneur often overshadows a crucial aspect of his rise: significant government assistance. And for the record, while Elon Musk is known for his entrepreneurial ventures like Tesla, Starlink, SpaceX, and PayPal, it is important to note that he is not an inventor in the traditional sense. He co-founded or invested in companies that developed technologies, but he didn't invent the core technologies himself. To truly understand Musk's fortune, we have to examine the critical role that federal funding has played from the very beginning of his career. Now, let's take Tesla, for example. In its formative years, Tesla received a crucial $465 million loan from the U.S. Department of Energy, which was essential at the time for keeping the company afloat during a critical period. In other words, they weren't making money. Beyond that initial loan, Tesla has continued to benefit from billions in government subsidies and tax breaks, making the electric vehicle company highly dependent on public funds to sustain its profitability. Hello, welfare. SpaceX, Musk's aerospace venture, is even more deeply intertwined with federal funding. According to multiple reports, SpaceX received nearly 85% of its revenue from government contracts during its early stages. NASA contracts worth billions of dollars were vital in supporting SpaceX's rocket development and launch program. Without this substantial federal investment, SpaceX would likely have struggled to achieve the breakthroughs that it is celebrated for today. And Musk's solar energy venture, SolarCity, now part of Tesla, also heavily relied on taxpayer dollars. SolarCity alone received approximately $750 million in subsidies and incentives. Local and state governments additionally provided significant tax incentives and rebates, contributing even more to Musk's expanding fortune. This pattern underscores a stark reality. Musk's billionaire status is deeply rooted in public investment rather than purely private innovation, as he would have you believe. Government backing has consistently provided Musk with a competitive edge, enabling his companies to dominate markets that might otherwise have remained inaccessible. Let's take a closer look at Musk's motivations behind DOGE. Is he genuinely interested in government efficiency? Or is he strategically infiltrating federal agencies to mine data and to secure billions in government funding? The evidence increasingly points to the latter. Now, first, SpaceX. Musk's aerospace company is now deeply embedded with NASA, the Department of Defense, the FAA, and NOAA. Sounds like innovation, right? But let's take a closer look. NASA has awarded SpaceX over $15 billion in contracts over the last decade. From launching astronauts to the ISS to developing the Artemis program's lunar lander, Musk has positioned himself as NASA's go-to contractor. But here's where it gets shady. SpaceX's dominance has effectively shut out competition. His close relationship and lobbying with NASA officials has led to decisions that place SpaceX in an unfairly advantageous position. And that's not all. Following persistent lobbying from Musk, NASA has recently awarded SpaceX a lucrative modification under the NLS-2 contract, allowing SpaceX to expand its role in launching planetary and scientific missions. This contract alone could secure SpaceX hundreds of millions of dollars in additional revenue, with the cost borne by taxpayers. The DOD. Musk is now a major defense contractor with the Department of Defense. The Pentagon has given SpaceX $5.6 billion in military contracts in the last 15 years. And just 4 days ago, he secured another $5.9 billion, bringing the total to a whopping $11.5 billion. SpaceX controls a vast portion of satellite-based communication, from launching national security satellites to launching rockets and AI-driven defense technologies. But here's the problem. The DOD is putting national security in the hands of a single billionaire. Musk, a private citizen, holds the keys to secure military and national security data. SpaceX's Starlink is now embedded in U.S. military operations. That gives Musk control over secure satellite communications and sensitive geopolitical intelligence. Now, that's power that no single individual should have, especially given that he is not precluded from doing business with foreign nations. And with his erratic behavior, 1 minute he's supporting Ukraine, the next he's limiting Starlink access for battlefield communications. It is clear this is a dangerous game. What happens when his interests conflict with America's? The Federal Aviation Administration has bent over backward for Musk, despite SpaceX's repeated safety violations. In Boca Chica, Texas, SpaceX has conducted launches that caused environmental damage and explosions, yet the FAA has granted rapid approvals. The agency seems unwilling to enforce the same strict safety standards it applies to other aerospace firms. And this raises the question, does Musk have inside influence at the FAA? Why does one company get fast-tracked despite a track record of failures? According to a recent Rolling Stone investigation, the FAA was directed to find funding for Musk's Starlink project, hinting at a preference over Verizon's $2.4 billion contract for upgrading air traffic systems. The directive was given verbally to avoid leaving a paper trail, which raises concerns about transparency and accountability. And my question is, if Verizon has secured a $2.4 billion contract that we may be contractually obligated to honor, and then we have to pay Musk a similar amount, how is this government efficiency? Seems like a waste to me. Musk also controls significant parts of our nation's space capabilities, satellite deployments, and even national security satellite launches. Think about it. One private billionaire in control of essential national infrastructure. Next, Starlink. Under the guise of providing internet access, Musk has inserted himself into critical infrastructure involving NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, the Department of Defense, the Department of Commerce, the Federal Aviation Administration, the Federal Communications Commission, and even the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. Through Tesla, Starlink, and X, Musk is collecting biometric data, location tracking, and social interactions from the American people. Combine that with his government ties, and you've got one billionaire sitting on a treasure trove of personal and national security data. And this, my friends, can lead to a communications monopoly. Now, NOAA. You probably didn't expect this one, but Starlink satellites are now being positioned to replace traditional NOAA weather satellites, creating a direct financial dependency on Musk's network. Starlink has secured contracts for satellite weather and climate monitoring, and SpaceX is launching NOAA satellites under government deals. The NOAA contract with Starlink for satellite services, specifically for the NOAA fleet, is forecasted to be worth up to $2 million. And what's the problem? This means that a private individual is controlling critical climate and weather data that affects everything from daily weather forecasts, severe storm warnings, and climate monitoring to fisheries management, coastal restoration, and supporting marine commerce. NOAA's products and services support economic vitality and affect more than 1/3 of America's gross domestic product. It also means that the government, our tax dollars, are paying for the satellites, paying to launch the satellites, and paying to receive satellite internet service, all from the very same source, Musk. And the kicker is that he also gets to sell these same satellites and services to other countries and the public at large. And this is all funded by who? The US government, you and me. With Starlink, Musk doesn't just have a foot in the door. He owns the door, controls the hinges, and decides who gets to pass through. And the question isn't whether Starlink can deliver. It's what Musk might demand in return for continued access. This seriously undermines our national and economic security. Are you exhausted yet? I know I am. Musk's grip also extends to the Department of Commerce, where Tesla and Starlink have benefited from green energy subsidies and infrastructure grants. Tesla alone has received over $4.9 billion in government subsidies, despite Musk downplaying their importance. He wants you to believe that he built his empire on his own. But the reality? Without government money, Tesla wouldn't be what it is today. For at least a decade, Tesla's demographic was mostly liberal consumers who were concerned about the environment, wanted to save money on gas, and, who wanted to buy an American car rather than buy a Prius. But in the past few years, Musk turned on the very people that made Tesla successful to go after the MAGA demographic, with his eyes set on buying access and influence over the next administration, which he has effectively attained. So the writing is on the wall. If you're MAGA, it's not a matter of if, it's when he will turn on you completely. After he secures the control he seeks, you'll just be collateral damage like the rest of us. And one thing is for sure, Musk doesn't care about the left or the right. He's only concerned is becoming the first trillionaire. Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program. April 1st, 2025 marked the first instance of a state taking action at the direction of the Trump administration to append a multi-billion-dollar pool of money to potentially benefit White House advisor Elon Musk. For the past 4 years, states, including West Virginia, have been working with the federal government to finalize plans to extend underground fiber optic cables to the estimated 22 million Americans without at-home internet. But the Trump administration is overhauling the $42 billion federal grant program, known as the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, to be tech neutral, a nudge to encourage more satellite internet service. Just throwing another federal bone to Musk. This comes despite telecommunications experts insisting that fiber is the fastest, more affordable way to connect underserved communities. And again, I say, how is this an efficient way of utilizing federal funds when there's a better and less expensive option already on the table? The FCC, Federal Communications Commission. The New York Times reported that SpaceX is pushing the Federal Communications Commission for more federal radio spectrum. Starlink satellite service depends on radio spectrum to send signals back and forth to Earth, meaning that if it gets more, then it can increase its profits. A move that its cellular provider rivals see as a power grab. The first of those awards was approved this month after the president replaced the head of the FCC with a new chairman, Brendan Carr, who has been very supportive of Musk. And can we talk about the data breaches and unprecedented access to our private info? Because wait, it gets worse. Musk's companies have been implicated in data breaches targeting the US Treasury, the IRS, and the Social Security databases. These breaches compromise private, sensitive information belonging to everyday Americans, as well as confidential details from competitor companies through which Musk gains an unfair edge in federal contracting, bidding, and negotiations. This isn't competition, folks. It's corruption. This data is important to Musk as he seeks to capture even more federal funds. Now, let's turn our attention to another alarming aspect of Musk's expanding empire: the possible connection between the Musk X Money partnership with Visa and DOGE's proposed access to the U.S. Treasury payment system. Recently, Musk's X Money secured a partnership with Visa, paving the way for unprecedented financial control. He wants to have his X app be the everything app. So imagine a scenario where every payment, every transaction processed through federal systems is now handled by a financial service partly owned and fully influenced by Musk. Now, add DOGE into the mix, granting Musk direct access to the U.S. Treasury payment systems. This isn't just convenience, it's control. Control over billions of dollars in federal transactions, the economic lifeline of our nation. Now, why is this dangerous? Because with such integration, Musk gains not only financial leverage, but immense political power. He could manipulate federal financial policies, potentially disrupt payments to programs that he disagrees with, like Social Security, or even use the vast amount of sensitive financial data collected to unfairly compete against other businesses. This financial monopoly doesn't just threaten fair business practices. It threatens national economic stability itself. It's a slippery slope from financial convenience to financial coercion, and we are definitely on that path. So are we really ready to let one billionaire dictate our entire nation's financial infrastructure? And yes, I know that Musk is supposed to be stepping down from DOGE sometime in May. However, by then, the damage will already be done, as he has been planting his people all over these federal agencies so he can continue to have access to data and be able to exert influence over them. Now, when you connect these dots, the picture is alarming. One billionaire, multiple businesses, countless government agencies. Musk's influence over military, aerospace, financial systems, and communications isn't just unprecedented, it's dangerous. And that's not capitalism, friends. That's a monopoly on power itself. Musk was not elected, and therefore he is not accountable to voters. And this MAGA Republican Congress has essentially abdicated their legislative powers to the president and his agenda. So Musk's loyalty lies with profit, potentially at the expense of national security, democracy, and the public good of Americans. Federal funds intended to serve you and me, average Americans, are instead being funneled to enrich Musk and his proxies. Again, this is not capitalism. It's a massive conflict of interest, a direct threat to democracy and transparency. And the president is on record stating that the person ruling on Elon Musk's DOGE conflicts of interest is, guess who? Elon Musk. And guess what? Not only has he not recused himself from federal agencies that he's monitoring, he's actually secured billions of dollars more for his companies during his short tenure at DOGE. If you're not upset, I mean, good for you. My blood is boiling. So, my fellow Americans, this is not about left versus right. It's about rich versus everyone else. And while Musk and his billionaire buddies rake in billions in government cash, what's happening to you? What's happening to us? Prices are skyrocketing. Wages are not keeping up. There's layoffs abounding. Social programs are getting cut. The stock market, our retirement accounts are crashing. And our national debt is exploding. And we haven't even touched the tax cuts that they're about to pass. And what's the president doing? Well, you can find him golfing in West Palm Beach at the taxpayer's expense to the tune of $26 million thus far in the first quarter of his presidency. So while Musk is distracting you with tweets about woke mind virus and government waste, he's quietly stealing from you, from all of us. Because let's be real, where do you think all these billions are coming from? It's our tax dollars. And while he touts himself to be a genius, literally, the man has not invented anything. His true genius is his ability to suck the American federal government tit dry. So what can we do? Call out the grift. Stop letting billionaires play us against each other while they rob us blind. Demand transparency. Push for full disclosure of government contracts and the conflicts of interest involved. Support antitrust action. No single person should have this much control over government resources, data, and national security. Hold politicians accountable. Whether Republican or Democrat, I don't care. Anybody who's enabling this corruption needs to be exposed. Download the 5Calls app and call your representatives today. Honestly, this was a very hard segment to write and to tape today. As I did my research, I kept finding more and more information, more evidence of the corruption that's taking place, and it was quite disheartening. So I remain committed to sharing this information because I'm hoping that more Americans, wake up to these facts, to this evidence. Hopefully we can turn this boat around. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you all. And I look forward to reading your comments. My goal is to share factual, verifiable information, so you'll always find links to my sources in the video description so that we can all make informed decisions. So until the next time, stay engaged, keep the hope, and know that you are powerful.